Chapter 46. There was a heavy wooden door at the entrance of the shed with a thick brass lock on it. I found discarded pieces of broken furniture strewn around the door. I hid under a broken table and switched off my phone light. I waited in the darkness, cricket chirping in the eerie silence. Second moved slowly as the red dot inched towards my own location towards me. A few minutes later, I saw bright headlights as a vehicle rustled through the dirt track and stopped outside the Jaggery shed. It was Shastri's Innova. The car's engine was switched off, the headlights faded, and it became pitch black again. I heard the Innova door open and shut. I saw the silhouette of a man walk towards the shed. He came and stood outside the main door, 3 feet away from me. I remained absolutely still under the broken table. The man took out his phone and a bunch of keys from his pocket. He turned on his phone flashlight. I could see Shastri's face. He wore a white kurta pajama. His oily hair shone in his phone's light. A plastic bag hung from his wrist. The open door with a loud creak as Shastri unlocked it and pushed it in with some effort. He went inside the Jaggery unit and switched on a light, which lit up the windows. To have a better look inside, I had to come out from under the table. I tiptoed to the main door. I saw him through the windows. He still held the bunch of keys in his hand. He switched off the main light inside. After a few seconds, I saw another faint light come from the windows. I went closer to the window. I saw heavy machinery and a pile of plastic gunny bags inside the unit. I could not see Shastri. I also saw stairs going down within the unit, probably towards a basement. This faint light came from below the staircase. I went to the main door and pushed it firmly and slowly, leaving it slightly ajar. I waited for a few seconds and went into the unit. My heart was in my mouth as I walked towards the staircase. My foot hit a piece of floor machinery hard. I felt blood trickle through my toes. I bit my lip to avoid making any noise from the pain and grabbed my foot for a few seconds as I regained my composure. I heard the juggling of keys from the basement level. I hobbled over to the staircase. I saw him down below, at the bottom of this inner staircase, his back towards me. He turned a key inside a keyhole to open another basement door, which had multiple locks. He spent 30 seconds unlocking all of them one by one. Once his basement door opened, it revealed another iron mesh door. As Shastri searched for the right key for this door, he spoke for the first time. "I have a gift for you today," he said. My heart jumped out of my mouth. Had he spotted me? I placed one foot in front of me and tensed up my arms, ready for a fight. I waited for him to turn around. However, he didn't. "You wanted a new notepad, right?" he said, turning the key in the mesh door. My mouth fell open as I understand the situation. I called Saurav. "Yeah, shall we come?" Saurav said as he picked up the call in an instant. Immediately, I whispered and cut the call. Shastri heard my voice. He turned with a jerk and looked up surprised. Due to the low light, he couldn't make out my face. "Who is it?" he said in Hindi. "Shastri," I said. "Stay where you are." "Kaun?" he screamed, running up the steps. I stepped back as he charged towards me. He reached upstairs and looked around. He located me in a corner of the unit. He pulled out a large 9-inch switchblade knife from his pocket. "Who is it? From the village?" he said. "What are you doing here?" "It's over, Shastri. Stay where you are and keep the knife down." From my words, he understood I wasn't a local villager from Morta. He switched on the main shed light. We could both see each other clearly. He tried to place me but couldn't. I saw the panic on his face. He ran towards me, knife in hand. I dogged him a few times, moving right and left, and hid behind the jaggery processing machinery. He kept stabbing the air with his knife. My injured foot twisted and hurt me as I darted around. He caught up with me soon. He took his arm back and aimed the knife at me with full force. I picked up a gunny bag and placed it between us. The knife struck the jaggery filled bag and went in. Shastri screamed curses as he tried to yank out the knife. I pushed the gunny bag hard against him. He walked backward, not letting go of the knife. We reached the end of the shed in this manner, his back against the wall. "Don't move," I said, gunny bag pressed against his chest. He managed to yank out the knife. He struck at me again. A shooting pain went through my entire arm as the knife struck my shoulder. The gunny bag fell from my hand. He came close to me. He lifted his arm again to stab me, this time in my chest. However, Shastri's arm froze mid-air. "Enough, Pandeyji," Viren shouted. Shastri couldn't move. Billu held him from behind in an arm lock around his neck. Shastri groaned as Billu's heavy biceps suffocated him. Billu used his other hand to twist Shastri's wrist until the knife fell down. I held my injured shoulder with my other arm. Saurav ran up to me. "Are you okay, bhai? There's so much blood on your shirt," he said. "I'm fine," I said, catching my breath. Shastri glared at me even as he remained in Billu's tight grip. I walked to the stair to go to the basement. "Where are you going?" Saurav said, as he saw me stumble down the steps. "Wait," I said, pressing my shoulder. I found Shastri's bunch of keys at the bottom of the stairs. I tried them one by one until one of them worked. I opened the iron mesh door. I stepped into the basement, which felt like a dark dungeon. I switched on my phone flashlight. It revealed a large godown-like room. I saw several dusty rugs on the floor. Along one wall, I saw a wash basin in a tiny kitchen counter. I moved my phone light around. I saw a small Indian-style toilet. "What was that noise upstairs, Ji?" A soft female voice startled me. I turned around. The phone light fell on a folding bed in front of me. A girl sat on the bed, partially covered in a quilt. She had long, unkempt and curly hair that reached down to her knees. I pointed the phone flashlight on her face. Her hazel eyes glittered back at me. "Sia?" I said. She didn't recognize my unfamiliar voice. "Who is it?" she said, her voice terrified. I moved towards her. No, please no, don't come close." She began to shiver. I sat down next to her. "Sia, it's okay. I have come to rescue you." She shook her head. "No, please don't. Please leave." "Who are you? Where Shastri ji?" I realized she had not seen my face. I turned the phone flashlight towards me. "Relax, Sia. I am Keshav. Your mother sent me." She blinked at me. "Alia asked me to find you. You are free now. Come, let's go." I offered my hand to her. She didn't take it. Instead, she began to sob uncontrollably. "Please trust me, Sia. Your mother asked me to find you. Your sister Suhana saw you get kidnapped that night when Shastri came with a knife." She looked up at me. I continued, "It's okay. The police caught Shastri. Let's get out of here. I will take you home. The icon," I said. I extended my hand again. She held my hand. Her thin fingers trembled. They felt weak and malnourished. "May I carry you?" I said. She nodded. I lifted her along with the quilt. My shoulder hurt even more with the extra weight. She continued to cry as I took her past the mesh door. Saurav came running down the steps. "Bhai," he said and froze, his mouth open when he saw Sia in my arms. "Hold her, please," I said. "My shoulder is killing me."